We maggots live not long. We hope more life, work, kill. Maybe queens notice. Maybe they share the old blood. We are maggots, but eventually, even maggots can fly.
So hey guys, welcome to another Warframe video, and today I'm going to explain the whole Kuva Lich process from start to finish so you can get yourself some Kuva weapons or even some friends for your Railjack. Now, you're not going to be able to do this right away. This is more of a mid to end game system as you need to finish the War Within quest and you need to have a Railjack. It is a very fun system though, I like it an awful lot, which is why I've done over 40 Liches by this point, especially now since it's been made a lot less grindy than it was when it first came out. You can easily bang out a Lich in under 2 hours nowadays, even if you get really unlucky, as long as you know what to do. So, spawning a Lich is very straightforward. Once you finish the War Within and you have a Railjack, all you need to do is a Grenier mission that's above level 20, and I personally like to do this in the Cassini capture mission on Saturn. Once you're roughly about halfway through the mission, you will intercept a transition from a Kuva Guardian saying that a subject has been found. This will mark a Kuva larvaling with a red icon on your heads-up display. Simply follow the waypoint icon to the Kuva larvaling. Once you down the larvaling, you'll be able to stab it, but first you want to inspect the weapon the larvaling has displayed over its head. This is the weapon the Lich will have and the weapon you will get if you defeat the Lich. If this is the weapon you want, hold down the interact button and stab the larvaling, which will spawn the Lich. But if you don't want the weapon, extract and do it again until you get the weapon you want. Congratulations, you've now spawned a Lich, which once you extract from the mission will taunt you for a little bit and you can actually inspect it from the star chart menu. Now, on the left you can see that the Lich is weak to cold and toxin, it's resistant to viral and corrosive, it is the Kuva Nukor, but the Kuva Nukor has a weapon bonus of 52% heat damage. This is because all Kuva weapons come with a random amount of bonus damage that's based on the Warframe you spawn the Lich with. It also changes the type of Lich you get. If you have a fire-based weapon on the Lich, it's going to be a fire-based Lich as well. And some Liches are a lot more difficult than others. For example, the toxin-based Liches tend to be pretty rough. Now, as far as the bonus element on the weapon and the Lich type goes, Baruch, Gauss, Grendel, Rhino, Sevagoth, Wukong and Zephyr will give impact, Chroma, Ember, Inaros, Neja, Protea, Vauban and Wisp give heat, Frost, Gara, Hildrin, Revenant, Stianax, Titania and Trinity give cold, Banshee, Caliban, Excalibur, Gyre, Limbo, Nova, Valkyr and Volt give electricity, Atlas, Ivara, Korra, Necros, Nidus, Oberon and Sarin give toxin, Harrow, Hydroid, Lavos, Mag, Mesa, Zaku and Ureli give magnetic, and Ash, Equinox, Garuda, Loki, Mirage, Nyx and Octavia give radiation. So make sure you're using a Warframe that's gonna give you an element that you actually want on the weapon. This only matters for the initial spawning of the Lich. Once the Lich has been spawned, you can use whatever you want. Now, once the Lich has been spawned, you will notice that Earth has been covered in strawberry jam. All Liches start on Earth, and as they rank up, they will move to Mars, then Ceres, then Sedna, and finally to the Kuva Fortress. If you play a mission on a planet that's occupied by a Lich, they will take a portion of your loot, but you don't have to worry about it too much as you get it all back once you defeat the Lich. But anyway, it's time to finally start hunting the Lich down. So, if you hover over any of the missions that have been covered in strawberry jam, you will notice that there are two versions of that mission for you to play. The regular version and the Lich version, with the Lich version being considerably high level, starting at 55 to 75. The way you hunt the Lich down is by figuring out a sequence of Requiem mods that you have to use on the Lich, and you do it by, for the most part, stabbing its thralls with your Parazon. Now there are 8 Requiem mods in total, and they are Lok, Zata, Vom, Yahoo, Riss, Fas, Kra, and Netra. You get these exclusively from Requiem relics. There are 4 of them, 1, 2, 3, and 4, surprisingly enough, and they are pretty similar. They each have an Ata number star, Kuva, and Riven Sliver as common, and an Exil's Weapon Adapter blueprint as rare, but they also have 2 different Requiem mods as an uncommon drop on them too. You have a chance to get these from Kuva Siphons, you are guaranteed to get one from a Kuva Flood, but perhaps most importantly, you also have a chance to get one whenever you stab a Lich's Thrall. You will generally get enough of these by just doing Kuva Liches and stabbing their thralls, but just in case you want more, you can do Siphons and Floods instead. Now these relics are a little bit different to the standard relics as they require a special Requiem Fissure to open, which are always at the very bottom of the Void Fissure menu. And there is always at least one of these present on the Kuva Fortress, so no matter what, you will be able to open your Requiem relics. I would definitely recommend you try to get at least one of each mod first because, well, you need them for the Lich, and the reason I say at least one of each mod is because these are different. These are the only mods in the game that have durability. Each mod can only be used 3 times before it breaks. But anyway, back to stabbing things. So once you stab enough of the Lich's Thralls and you fill up the Requiem Murmur Circle progress thing and you leave the mission, it will show you one of the Requiem mods that you will need to use to defeat the Lich. But that's unfortunately not enough, because you also need to figure out if it's the first, second, or third mod going from left to right, because the order of the mods matters. Now you figure out the order in which they're supposed to be by just trial and error. You stab the Lich with it and see what happens. Because whenever you stab one of the Lich's Thralls, there's a chance the Lich will get annoyed and jump into the mission to fight you. This happens somewhat randomly, but the more Lich missions you do on a planet, the more likely it is to happen. Once it does happen though, all you need to do is just down the Lich, which will allow you to use your Parazon on it. This will first of all rank the Lich up, but it will also test the first Parazon mod. If it's the wrong mod, it will look like this, but if it's the right mod, it will look like this, and it will allow you to continue fighting the Lich to test the second mod. All the stab attempts, by the way, as well as the known Requiems, are tracked on the right hand side of the Lich screen. This is what the whole Lich system is about. You are slowly gathering intel from the Thralls and the Lich itself, because whenever you stab the Lich, you get a nice chunk of intel towards the next Requiem, and then using the different mods, whether you know them or not, on the Lich to try and figure out the sequence. It's actually fairly straightforward once you understand how it works. Just make sure that whenever you stab a Lich with the wrong mod, you immediately switch to a different mod, because he could show up in the next mission, which would waste the stab. And in general, just be smart about it, okay? I'm gonna give an example of the Lich that I did for this video. Alright, I spawned a Lich on Saturn with the Kuva new core, it's now on Earth. So I go to Earth and do a bunch of missions until the Lich shows up. I stab it with the wrong mod and immediately switch it into a different mod. Since the Lich now ranked up, it's on Mars, so I do a bunch of missions on Mars until I uncover the first Requiem, which happens to be Locke. I immediately move it to the first slot on my Parazon to test it on the Lich when it next shows up. Lich shows up, I stab it, and it turns out Locke is the first mod in the sequence, so I continue fighting the Lich and test my second mod, which happens to be wrong, so I immediately switch it to a different one again. The Lich is now on Ceres since it ranked up to rank 3 when I stabbed it, so I do a bunch of missions there until I uncover the second Requiem. This just so happens to be Riss, so I immediately put it in the second slot on my Parazon so that the next time I run into the Lich, I can try and see whether it's the second or third mod. Lich shows up, I stab it with Locke, which I know is the correct mod, I continue fighting it, I stab it again, and it's not Riss, which means Riss is the third mod in the sequence since it can't be anywhere else. So I immediately put Riss into the third slot since that's the only place it can be, and I take out Faz because I've already tested Faz in the second slot and it was not correct. So I randomly put in Kra into the second slot because the chances of the Lich showing up before I get enough intel to uncover the third Requiem are pretty high. And it's also not that unlikely that I will randomly pick the right mod for the second slot, because I already know it's not Locke because that's the first one, I know it's not Riz because that's the third one, and I've tested Faz in one of the earlier stabs and it wasn't right either, so out of the 8 total Requiem mods, only 5 of them could be in the second slot. But anyway, the Lich is now on Sedna because I stabbed it and it's now rank 4. I do a bunch of missions until the Lich shows up, I test the second mod and it's not Kra. So I switch it over to Vom. The chances of hitting the right one are now 1 in 4. The Lich is also now at max rank 5, which means from now on it will stay on the Kuva Fortress. However, before I get a chance to test Vom in the second slot, I kill enough Thralls to uncover the final Requiem. And it is a Netra, so I immediately put it into the second slot on my Parazon. I know Locke is first because I've already confirmed that, and I've tested Riz in the second slot and it wasn't correct, which means it has to be the third one, so the final sequence is Locke, Netra, and Riz. Then I keep doing missions in the Kuva Fortress until the Lich shows up again. Now now I'm ready to take him down because I have the full sequence. He spawns on the top of a crate and glitches the first stab, which is fantastic. Something always has to go wrong when I'm recording, so you can't actually see me stabbing him with Loch. But I managed to drag him out and defeat his second health bar and stab him with Nitra. There it is, as he almost falls through the bloody world. And then I finally defeat his third health bar and stab him with Riss, which completes the sequence. Now, this doesn't actually kill the Lich, it just makes it retreat to its ship in Railjack. This is why you need Railjack to even begin doing this. Now, stabbing the Lich with the full sequence is also what consumes the durability on the Requiem mod, so each mod will last you 3 Liches. Stabbing the Lich before this does not consume the durability. There's also a 25% chance that the Lich will drop an Ul mod when you do the final sequence on it, which is kind of like a wildcard Requiem mod that counts as all of them at once. So you can put it anywhere you want on the Parazone and it's always gonna be the right mod, which can speed up the Lich quite a lot. But anyway, I did the final sequence, so I head over to Railjack, go to Saturn and do the Kuva Lich confrontation mission, which is an actual Railjack mission, so you do have to do a little bit of Railjack combat, but it eventually leads to the Lich's ship where you fight it, and once you down it, you get a choice to either convert it or vanquish it. If you vanquish it, you get its weapon in the foundry, and if you convert it, it will sometimes show up in missions to help you out, and you can also use it as a defender on your Railjack. Also, whatever you decide to do with the Lich, there is always a 25% chance that it will drop a Requiem Ultimatum, which is a gear slot item that you can use in a mission to force a Lich or a Sister of Parvos to spawn in. I generally use this at the very end when I figure out the final sequence, so I don't have to wait for the Lich to show up. And that's it for the video. That's how you spawn, hunt, and ultimately defeat a Kuva Lich. If you have any questions or tips for other people, please leave them in the comment section down below. I thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.